All right.
Then in game number 1 of this PVZ, spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have Twisted Minds Classic.
And his opponent in the bottom right. Is he actually from GG? He's on a team. I can't remember what team it is. Shin. Is it?
I think, yeah, I think it's... What?
It's like...
I'm going to look it up.
We had so many teams come up random. Isn't it kind of confusing?
Guyman Gladiators, that's what it is.
Guyman Gladiators, okay.
Yeah.
Because it was funny. We went from, there's no teams are going down, whatever, to players were getting random ones, like Dart got talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Estrella's got a team now, and I can't even remember what it is for the life of me. Like, it's just nuts.
Well, I think
Trigger's still in Korea, and he just missed the sign-up, I think. But
it sucks.
I almost got him to play.
I think a big part of it is from EWC, right? Like, if you have a one StarCraft player that's just going to be there in the top, however many, you can get extra points for that kind of stuff, which I think is really cool, really helpful for StarCraft, that they have that like cross-game team competition thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping we have in the advent of everything, and I know everybody's diving deep. Not everybody, many people are diving deep into Stormgate, but I do have a feeling over time we're going to see a little bit more. This is my not really hot take, but my take on things. I have a feeling we're going to see some more, even if ESL fizzles for a bit, or maybe we don't have any for a little bit. From the sentiment of things and the Saudis, Esports World Cup, we have 5 more years of that. I wouldn't be surprised if we somehow just see, hey, magically another tournament pops up.
Yeah, I mean,
in the worst case.
And the thing is, too, if StarCraft 2 stays, with no or very few patches like we've had it the last few years, right? If it stays as a constant, it's very easy for a lot of players to, work on some of these new games that are coming out, play those scenes while they're hot, and then maybe they fade a little bit, or what have you, they come back to StarCraft, which is always going to have the prestige that Stormgate and Battle Aces and whatnot, they're not going to have the 15 years of history for a while. So StarCraft will always have that prestige over the other titles, and I think it'll just stick around. It'll be here for people to pick up and tournaments to get put on, and I think there'll still be a lot of good StarCraft to watch for a long time.
Yeah, I do too, and that's kind of it's not so much that I'm not like super into stuff. I will say, I'll be honest, I feel like Stormgate needs a little more cooking. I know somebody like you seem to really like it.
It definitely does.
It's just
it definitely does. But I also would say that StarCraft had like a ton of problems until Legacy of the Void. So
right,
like if I went back and played Wings of Liberty right now, I'd be like, wow, this game needs some help. It's a little it still needs something, I feel like where it's settled in Legacy of the Void is a very good position. So I don't know. I don't expect a game to get to that kind of state for a very long time. I think it's a lot of changes and a lot of consistent playing and consistent updating over the years that gets it to a state where it can be as good as like that's StarCraft, right?
Right, because like realistically, it's going to sound rough to say. To me, it feels still almost a smidge toward almost late alpha stages. Realistically, I know it's not officially declared that, but I think there's much cooking it needs.
Yeah, I mean, I know nothing about game development, so I'm not going to pretend to have
There's
an
definitely
answer,
a
but
little more than that. But
it definitely still feels like early access, right? It's not like, why is this early access? This is a finished game. No, there's still plenty more that can and will happen. In the meantime, things are happening in this game. Classic is absolutely dumpstering these drones. Oh my god. The drones are fighting. Why are the drones fighting, Dave? The drones are not supposed to fight. They're not fighting units. 19 of them go down. Oy
I'd love to say it's a picture-perfect defense, but that's not the case. But you know what's going to be the case? +1 melee. And hopefully these oracles just don't end the game
I
for
mean,
Shin on his
this
side.
is +1 melee, but the Bane Nest only just started, and Glaves is about to finish. Classic. I think
Yeah, he didn't
Classic's
even
about
go
to
with Glaves
win
yet.
this game.
Yeah, Shin really needed a Baneling Nest earlier. And I don't even know if he has a lair, does he? You could check structures.
No lair.
No.
This is going to be painful. The Ling run by is really nice here. Maybe he could just get this third. It looks like Classic's not going to be able to defend that. So now Classic is forced to get a lot of damage done. This is kind of an awkward engagement. We got Queens here. We have a Ling surround from the get-go. This is as good as it's going to get for Shin, who killed the third and is now coming back across the map to defend. And most of these Adepts are already dead. I thought Classic was just about to win this game, and suddenly, like, Shin's still alive. It's not the best position in the world for him, but like, he just killed all those Adepts. This is actually fantastic.
And he killed the third hatch, or the third Nexus.
Yeah.
So now Classic's feeling a lot more, not necessarily all in, but very much close to it. As Shin has a fourth hatchery coming down. I think Shin's is going to seal it. He has Banelings. He's going into a lair. He's going into Carapace, which is actually kind of, in my eyes, a pretty good choice. You might as well go for it and continue on. He's got to stay on the same tech path, basically, after that. It's going to be a 2-base all. Well, what's left of a 2-base all. No.
Yeah, I mean, Classic is... he's in a very rough spot. Shin handled that beautifully. I think Classic shading into the middle of all the Lings and the Queens was maybe a bit too bold.
Yeah, like, truthfully, Shin has enough army now after the last group of Lings goes. No, actually a little more. I wouldn't hate if he did a little bit of droning, and he did, just to get economically ahead with these 4 hatches. He should have enough larvae with the Queens, etc.
Yeah, he's mixing in a few drones. I think you're right, but he can't over drone, right? He sees that there's no third being taken. Going up over 60 workers, I don't think he needs to go any higher than that. A Hydra Den is almost done. The Bane Nest is finished. There's no Bane speed, but like, I don't think that really matters against a largely adept force. Classic's trying to do his follow-up to this, and I love this build Classic has been doing a lot lately. With the Sentries and the Immortals.
Yeah, it's a little like Soul Train-ish.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Banelings actually would be good still, because just to bust the front at some point, but like realistically, he's got to hold this big Protoss push.
Yeah, the Hydra's coming out now, I think, is the real key. Gonna have a few Banes, mostly just Lings, Hydras, and Queens, though. Classic's gonna have to be deep on creep. His force fields are gonna have to be spectacular against this.
I mean, truthfully, I like Hydras, but on the flip of it, the only downside is until you get enough, like Ling Bane is gonna be a little countered with all these sentries possibly.
God. The full surround. The stasis traps are pretty spectacular, though. Catching a huge portion of that army. It's like extra force fields that Classic doesn't have to spend energy on.
It's like you told Gemini. It's like this Classic guy's pretty good.
He is pretty good. I mean, he's making something happen here. The Banelings are trying to break in, but the force fields on the ramp here are pretty massive. The Ling's going to come in for the surround from the backside. Can Shin actually hold on?
Prism.
Oh my god, the Lings and Banes dive forward, and as the last few sentries go down, Shin's reinforcements are going to clean this up. No War Prism left. GG gets called. Shin holds on against the Glaive Adepts, even after losing 19 drones. That is insanely impressive to me.
You know what's crazy is Classic, if he kept that War Prism alive, I almost felt like for a brief second there was a chance for him with that push.
I mean, I thought that push was going to get eaten up, and it stayed alive a lot longer than I had expected.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the form, but Classic still looked pretty confident. I felt like from how he took that engagement, like he had to make something happen, but it still looked like he played about as best as he possibly could. A little unlucky the Queen came around the back to take out that War Prism.
Yeah, Shin was really prepared. He just waited for him to get to that point where he got the full surround. And then I think at just some point, though, there's just too many units coming out. And you only have so many force fields, right?
Yeah, and honestly, that was a brilliant defense from Shin. Like, truthfully, that was very well done. The Ling run by was probably... That was a 200 IQ play, truthfully, how he handled that.
It was. And I don't know if he did that because he was expecting Classic to move out. I think he really just saw the Adepts leave and was like, all right, let's force them to be all in. Suddenly, Classic was just in the worst possible position. And now we're going into game 2. We'll be here on Alcyone. Spawning in the lower left-hand corner, we have Gaimin Gladiator's Shin.
And his opponent in the upper right-hand corner, he's blue. Twisted Minds, not soft serve twisted. It's Classic.
Yeah, I remember seeing.
Don't ask me where I was going with that.
In Dallas, I saw a couple people with this logo on their shirt, and I was like, you can't read it, right? I was like, why does that look so familiar to me? But I could not place it for the longest time. And it wasn't until I saw Classic's jersey that I was like, oh, it was the Twisted Minds logo. Oh, Shin is going for the gold base here. Are we going to see Classic cannon rush him?
I don't think so. I think he's just hitting a pylon. Is it going to be a fake out?
I mean, I guess the Overlord could see this.
If he forced to cancel, that would be huge.
He's got the Forge. He's doing it.
Oh, he is? Okay, he is. Yeah. All right. We're getting some old... Oh, look at this. I love it, Chickenman. You're right. I didn't think he would actually do it, but Classic.
Yeah, he's busting an OG. It out. I mean, this is such a good build against this, right? Because he can put down the 2 cannons. This forces a cancel. There's no way for Shin to hold this. So as he scouts the
literally, there's nothing he can do because he can... Even some Zerglings, the cannon should finish as long as this Forge finishes because he can wall it in.
Yeah.
He can literally just build another pylon and a gate, I believe, and wall it in.
Yeah, and I mean, Shin's just going to let this hatch go as long as possible, but I assume he'll cancel it. He's got his 3rd down. But Classic also pylon the natural.
I love it, dude. It's so greasy.
Yeah, it's such a good combo right here. Because now, like, Shin's just stuck. He's on 1 base.
Classic left the photon cannon. Oh, did he cancel it the last second?
No, he left it. Yeah, he left it here. That's still, like, annoying to clean up, right? Keeps the pylon alive for a little while.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's annoying, and he's done a great job.
Yeah, this is
not only
fantastic
just delaying
for
it, tied up a
Classic,
lot
right?
of bunnies.
This is...
Yeah.
His Nexus is only just behind the hatchery. Shin's going to take his natural immediately upon killing that pylon, but... I mean,
love it, man.
Yeah, this is
I love
great.
It. This is some OG StarCraft vibes right here.
I mean, it's a great way to hard counter this build, right? Every time you send the probe out, just scout this. If you see that gold base getting taken, drop the Forge, just cannon rush, because there's nothing they can do about it. They're forced to cancel. Suddenly their build order's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the creep spread's going to be fucked, too.
Oh, yeah. Shin is now thrown for a complete loop. Now, I will say, I did see Classic do this against Dark one time. The same exact thing. And then Dark just, like, didn't care, and he had a good build anyways.
Well, I think that's just Dark being Dark, though, at the same time.
Yeah. You're like, I got a 1-up on this. I messed his build up. And Dark's like, I didn't really have much of a build anyways, so I'll just do this one instead.
I love Dark, man. He's just one of a kind.
Yeah, he
one
really
of a kind.
Is. He really is.
Yeah, man. So Stargate, everything just kind of goes normal for Classic, more or less. He's gonna have a little later 3rd base if it's gonna be something similar to before. He could 2 base all in or something, or really delay a 3rd, but Oracle's gonna have to be used. Oh, well, maybe not.
Yeah, I think like the Cyber Core was a little late, and the tech's a little later here for Classic. Certainly worth it to put Shin in such a bad position, though.
Oh yeah,
this is a lot of links coming out here. You're gonna try to get a cancel on this 3rd base. The Oracle is staying home, but this base is super fresh. I think it's gonna go down anyways, even with the Oracle here.
He's gonna have to cancel it.
Yeah, that is unfortunate there for Classic. Should be able to plant it down again pretty quickly, but that's a nice catch for Shin.
Yeah, it's not a horror. It's not the end of the end of the world though. Class is getting double gas behind him. Is now just saturated up.
Well, that cannon got 4 kills. Didn't quite pay for itself, but
Honestly, technically, between the between the cancel the hatch and the 4 link kills, I think it did.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. It absolutely did. I would.
Oh, but the links.
Classic. Why are we building another forge, buddy?
Double forge, but his nexus is gonna be. Was that a kill?
That was a kill.
Oh my god.
Oh,
yeah, once we.
That's brutal.
I saw that assault, and I'm like, I have a sneaky feeling he's gonna be a little, unless it was a fake third, but.
No, maybe it's a fake third now, but I think he wanted that third, and the second forge is gonna finish up. He's starting up 1-1. He's using them. He doesn't want to waste that.
A double forge build, you wouldn't do that on 2 bases unless, well, if it was hero, I wouldn't be surprised, but.
No, if it's hero and you're doing 2 bases, you just attack and all in for so long that you get 4 upgrades from your single forge.
Yeah, Classic's like, joke's on you. I wanted a 6-minute third base anyway. I don't think we're gonna see any Tempest builds here though.
No, unlikely. Unlikely. You never know though. I feel like the double forge into Tempest would probably not be the play.
So as good as this started, I think a couple mistakes were made for Classic right there. Namely, that losing that third base. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, even being forced to cancel it a second time would have been very painful, but it just straight up dying is that's brutal.
That is bad news bears right there.
Oh no, the forge, not the forge.
Oh man, use the forge, Luke.
I wish we could see triple forge. That would be the real way.
Yeah, right. He'd be going full disc PVT.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something though. All right, as we go in, oh, there's just too much happening. 6 workers falling. Maybe some more. No.
He gets the 7.
I know we're full on gaming. To the note of bouncing between RTSs, I was gonna say from watching Dolan lately on, he's been streaming a bit, which is cool. And Dolan seemed to be having a rough time getting back in for a while, going from Stormgate Mac to tearing it up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with, like, hell, even earlier today, I played a couple games of Stormgate, went into some Terran, and I'm, like, trying to press W for the macro key for building units, and I'm like, God damn it!
Oh, that's true. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, there's little things that are going to throw you off because it's just way more efficient than, I mean, like, I think Nina still does, at least was, if I'm not mistaken, a couple people still hotkey their production because they're just so used to it.
I know, I do in Stormgate. I
did
it
my
first,
production, but I did it first, but I saw that. I'm like, why? They have this.
Oh, hold on. What did you say? You said something about Tempest? We got +1 ship weapons and a fleet beacon on the way.
Hero set the meta again, guys. Let's see.
That's what he does.
I love it.
I mean, on this map in particular, it's a really good setup for 4 base, getting into carriers and that. And
what have we seen a Protoss in the freaking top 4 of a world championship? You know, when was the last time? And that's going to be coming up all over the place. This actually is reminding me of Hero minus being in a kind of rough position. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Hero, he's the guy to look to, right?
Mm-hmm. In fairness, Classic and Nightmare did do some Tempest builds in previous KSLs in the last year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Nightmare did that Tempest build in the Blink Stalkers once, and we were like, what the hell?
Yeah, that was really cool, actually. I think that was on this map, too, wasn't it? I feel like it might have been.
It might have, I think it might have been in a different map pool, even. I could be wrong.
I could also be wrong.
Oh, yeah, this map wasn't. Yeah, this map's been around for a bit now.
I feel like a lot of the Sky Toss I see is on this map. Something about this 4-base defensive setup is really nice for it.
Yeah, and it's a larger map. You got some... Yeah.
But
for sure,
Shin does have a lot of lurkers out now. Got those lurker upgrades coming. But he hasn't been able to crack in anywhere. Taking a 5th base. We're just kind of chilling for the time being. There's the Spire. It looks like Shin is realizing there's some amount of Stargate action.
Can you check the units tab for me, Chickenman? And apologies if I sound a little cracked. Okay, 6 High Templar. He just has the arc on him. For a second, I thought he was going to an obscene amount of High Templar. He may still. Like, it's weird, but it's something I've noticed. Occasionally, you'll see Classic Hero. These guys actually dump more into High Templar than we used to see.
Yeah, going for like heavy High Templar and spending the minerals on static defense and the like. Looks like Shin wants to attack in here. Now, there's only a few Tempests out right now, and oh my god. He's just getting right on in. A few storms are going to land, but there's so many lurkers here. I think it's 11 lurkers, and this wall is getting absolutely shredded right now. Shin diving into the natural as the Tempests get pushed back by the Hydras as well. One of them will fall. And right now, I mean, Shin has put himself in a fantastic position, already doing so much damage to the production. Classic on the defensive and just saw this too late. I don't think he realized those rocks had gotten taken down.
Yeah. An unlucky go at it from Classic. He lost the Cyber Core, the Ford researching the armor upgrade.
Yeah, and without any like immortals down here, I feel like if he had 4 immortals on the ground, this could be a completely different game. But these lurkers have done so much damage, and even as the last few it looks like are going to go down here, Shin's already done so well. He could probably just pull back and call this a day. He's going to dive on another Tempest. Just have to be a little bit careful here not to just throw too many units away.
Yeah, it is technically a hold, though, but all these Hydras... The hard thing about this after is, well, you get the 5th. That 5th base, I'm pretty sure is going to fall. I was going to say it's the Hydra count now. Is the upgrade stack up for Zerg?
Yeah, but he's just going to turn all those Hydras into lurkers because he's got 15 Corruptors coming out. He does not need the Hydras anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be quick. That Spire, we did mention, or you did mention the Spire earlier. The Corruptors are going to basically just take care of the Tempest, and unfortunately, I just don't know how Shin's going to deal with it in this situation. If he was able to keep that 5th base up and have some hope, but the fact that he's continued Sky Toss production and it's all Tempest, and hell, even Carriers, you know as good as I that Carriers and Tempest just kind of suck against Corruptors.
They really
1-to-1 earlier on.
They really do. And while there's some High Templar and Archons on the ground to help him out, the ground army for Classic is looking pretty sparse right now. He is getting some Immortals out. I really do think Immortals underneath the Sky Toss army is just borderline unstoppable. But it's not quite ready yet. Oh my god, that's so many Corruptors. They are just diving on top of this. The Carriers aren't even here yet. And Classic, I just don't think he's going to have enough. The Storms are really nice, but then what's going to stop the ground army reinforcements from coming in? Most of the Tempests have gone down now, even as these last few Corruptors are trying to finish them off. There's still Lurkers here. There's Ling streaming forward. There's Hydras coming out. And Classic, he's holding, but only technically right now. This base is going to be forced to cancel again.
Yeah.
Oh, there's an Overseer here. He's going to try to target down the Observer. No, not quite. Base stays alive. Can Classic keep this going? The Carriers are out now. That was a lot of dead Corruptors.
Yeah, that was an expensive army to lose. Like, as much as was retained, I love that the Lurkers are retained, but 15 Corruptors going down is rough. And it looks like Shin hasn't been doing, in my eyes, what he should. And that'd be getting +1 flyer attacks and then into +1 Carapace for the Corruptors. But Classic did have that delay on the Cyber Core, did rebuild it, and is going into +1 air weapons. Well, I said that. Look at that. He gets in now, but it was a little later than it could have been.
Yeah, it looks like he went for the Greater Spire. I think he was expecting to kill the air army and then maybe go into Broodlords, but instead, Classic able to keep a couple of these Tempests alive and now getting into some Carriers.
Base going down to the bottom right.
Yeah. Classic trying to sneak a little cheeky extra base here, but honestly, Shin is not expanded. Right? He doesn't have either of these bases, and I'm a little surprised by that. I feel like he should. It's not like Classic's been on his side of the map in the last 15 minutes.
Now, hear me out. This is a bit controversial, but not so much. This is maybe a hot take to some, but I'm going to just go ahead and say it. If there was a way for Shin to throw, it would be to go into Broodlords. Broodlords just seem comically bad against Protoss now. Like, I've literally... Even in my, it's pretty bad when you can have like a Colossus heavy army and literally kill Broodlords. Like, oh, you killed most of my Stalkers? I just killed your Broodlords with like 2 Stalkers and an Archon.
They're a good support
Colossus.
unit, you know? You just need a few for support.
Well, they just got nerfed to a point that they're kind of I mean, they still do good against Terran. I've definitely lost it, but it feels like you literally really have to throw to lose the Brood Lords.
It's kind of true. They're a win more button. I mean, ultras are kind of the same way, right? Where it's like, if you're going into ultras in an even game, that's not a good sign. If you're ahead, though, it's like impossible. It's impossible to come back against the Brood Lord.
Yeah, funnily enough, ultras in this game would have actually been good because the Tempest, the Mortal count.
Yeah,
truthfully,
that's a good point. But looks like Shin's gonna stick on the lurkers. He's gonna try to dive forward again and get on top. This is a very awkward position though, but he does have a bit of a surround coming in at multiple angles here. The Corruptor's trying to get on top of these carriers, but I don't know, Classic doing a great job taking these fights. Shin is really struggling against this.
Oh yeah, for sure. I like that he's rebuilding some High Templar with this. The carrier count's growing a bit. He's still continuing on the Tempest. Man, Zealot's got a little bit of work down here, but looks like they are gonna go down.
Yeah, they're being really annoying here. These lurkers are really struggling to kill the Zealots, which is not something you're used to seeing.
No, not at all.
Oh man, Classic's really making a game out of this. I thought he was fully dead, but he's got the bigger bank here. His upgrades are, I guess the upgrades are relatively similar, but he's got +2 ship weapons and +1 shields finished. So these air units are a little bit better upgraded than Shin's. And now Shin, all that not expanding from earlier is really biting him in the butt. He just doesn't have these bases.
That defense he did earlier against that lurker push with the Roach Lurker Hydra push he did earlier on, where he busted into the net. You're gonna laugh when I honestly feel like what helped make that better was the fact that he was going double forward, so he still had some upgrades going on.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. There are some Vipers out now. There's a couple of Brood Lords as well. Let's see if they do end up being the throw. The Vipers are the real key here, though, getting a couple of those carriers. The Stalkers were cleaned up. Shin is a little bit supply blocked right now, and doesn't have his worker count is going down and his base count is not going up. And I feel like this is becoming more and more of a problem.
Yeah, the supply block
Shin.
and the army supply. Now Classic's leading in the army supply, and if you can capitalize on this at all, continue the harass and aggression, just win it.
These lurkers are just struggling so much against the charge lots.
It is funny to say, though, like you're saying it, I'm like, Chickenman, you're not wrong. They're just having a hell of a time.
It's so funny. Like, lurkers are terrible against, 4 charge lots. They're great against 30, but against 4, they can't hit them. The charge lots are too quick. They just dodge all the spines. It's insane.
They're the anti-F2 unit, but if you're a great control group shift click can, it's and plus I think there's a little more when Classic's at the helm with it. This is crazy. We're well into the late game, Chickenman, and like you said, Classic really was playing from a disadvantage. It felt like for a bit, and in my opinion, my thought was if he solidified, which he did, I kind of favor Classic.
I mean, at this stage of the game,
it's just an uphill battle.
I definitely like Classic's late game better than Shin's, just in general.
Yeah.
Shin's army is getting more Brood Lord heavy.
Did I not say it?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
This is a throw.
Brood Lord into lose it's a powerful strategy here.
So the play is to just take the game, right? We were ahead. Oh man.
We're just gonna ball this game up and we're gonna shout Kobe as we toss it into the trash can.
I love it. God. All right, and the Brood Lord's poking forward, reminding me of Up a Tree Ravens.
Yep. Oh god, hopefully they do better than that. Shin trying to dive in here as well. There are some static defenses here. Gonna buy at least a little bit of time. Classic gonna catch this army as it leaves, maybe.
Let's see what happens.
I cannot believe Shin still doesn't have another base. He has not attempted to take these other bases even one time.
Yeah, I mean, he's feeling confident with his money, but does he realize Classic has more bases than him now? Like, his money's just, he's economically built differently.
Oh, Brood Lord.
It's like one of those memes.
Pushing forward, but 2 of them fall for it. Ooh, that's a fungal, though.
That fungal's juicy, but the storms.
Yeah, the storms are really juicy as well. These corruptors cannot stick around very long. They get one carrier though. At least there's that.
I like that the queens are pushing forward other than the creep. If they have enough energy still with this shit. Oh, beautiful recall! Mothership!
Mothership recall! Oh,
that was a sick play.
So good. And against those Broodlords, right? Those broods are going to take 100 years to get here. And he's going to lose the base in the meantime. And I think Classic does kind of need to leave. Oh, it just goes to the second recall.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
And Hero again, and no offense, Classic, but Hero again setting the meta as we see in this game.
Yep, Classic taking notes when watching Heroes games. He's like, oh, that's a, well, how's it going right there? We'll write that one down in the book.
Guy actually almost knocked Cyril down a bracket. You know, I know that looking at the results, people may go, oh, well, Hero got like 4-0'd. Well, actually, Hero literally was a couple decisions away from actually knocking Cyril out of bracket, which would have been nuts, but still, you know.
I will say right now, Shin's army is 30 supply bigger than Classic's. So that might be like something for Classic to look at, right? He's got a lot of mining.
Yep.
He's got such a big bank too, though. Like, I don't know, man. It's gonna be so hard for Shin. That's his one advantage he has.
Yeah, it's that massive army, all the static defense.
Uh-oh. Can these probes get the kill on the Hydra?
Honestly, shaving off a few could be good. I think he's gonna does acknowledge that.
Oh, we got a big fight in the middle, though. Cloaking field going down. Mothership staying alive. As I say that, though, it gets absolutely murdered. Storm's dying here. The Broodlord's diving forward. Corruptors trying to get on top of this. They catch a carrier reinforcement that came out. And Classic, he was pushed all the way back. That might have been a good fight here for Shin.
Yeah, he doesn't have the High Templar available with Storms. Like, you desperately need that. But truthfully, as you said, Classic has so much money. What he needs to do is retain the army, throw away the workers, and just keep pumping. And honestly, I wouldn't hate Stalkers.
Yeah, well,
I really wouldn't hate Stalkers.
That's the thing, is I feel like at some point, maybe you do make that big switch to Stalkers. He's only on 8 gates, though, and I feel like you need, like, 15 to really make that work. You know, you need to just warp them in all at once and have a
He has the money where he should have dropped it down. Like, the money, the base count, and... Oh, that mothership's going to go down.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's going to be made. Does he have battery? I don't think he has battery overcharge available.
He does. He could use it. No, he's just going to lose it.
But, yeah, will it matter? Because you see, he's actually has 5 Stargates, which is crazy. Because he was building an Oracle, an additional one other than this one.
Oh, well, that one's just going to bite the dust anyways.
The timing of that was base, dude. All right, guys, somebody clip it. Clip it.
Yeah. Perfect timing. Shin finally took another base. He's on 47 drones. He's got no money right now. He is out of money. This is actually, like, really bad for Shin. Incredibly bad. Classic's army supply is a lot closer than it was earlier. And if Classic loses, if they trade armies, Classic just fully wins this game. All he needs to do is just spend all of his money, and he's just going to have an army way quicker. Classic was trying to take the upper left base.
Canceled, though.
Yeah, he's like,
canceled.
He's like, well, if you're not going to take it, I guess I'll try. I might go for it.
Yeah, funnily enough, you know, we were talking about the gates. Classic has the money. And he should just drop them down in my eyes, because that's just like an extra linchpin in securing your victory.
No, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Like, again, going up to 12 or 15 gates at this stage of the game is fully reasonable. Something I see that I remember learning from Grimmy as we see this base getting smashed here by the Lings and Banes is putting gateways in front of cannons. So that, like, Ling and Bane run-bys are just really, really expensive and painful. But then you also end up with just a bunch of extra gates to use. Yeah. But this is nice. Finally, Shin getting something. Kills the base, kills a lot of the static defense down here. Classic's going to try to go for a bit of a push through the center in the meantime.
Absolutely. That was a good call, too. Our lovely UK buddy, Mr. Grom.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Speaking of people who are good at Stormgate, he's pretty good.
He's getting there too. Yeah, he's been playing a hell of a lot. It looked like it when I was watching him. Like, Rami's getting pretty good.
He's pretty good at RTS as that guy. I mean, this is, again, good for Shin. He's keeping this base down. Classic kills a base. This is the least important base by itself, but this is maybe going to allow Classic to actually hold this one, and that would be huge. I mean, this is fully Shin's base.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Mother Shin!
Oh, minus 350, minus 350. Once again.
Yeah. We are... I don't know, though. It's just... This is... For anybody, you don't want to be in this spot, but when the Protoss is in this position over the Zerg, I just don't see
my
a
God,
shot.
the Brood Lords. Where are their friends? They have no friends. Where are the Corruptors? They're all so late to the party. So many Brood Lords going down. Corruptors are here now, though. They're going to dive on top of this. I cannot tell what's happening. There's storms everywhere. This is working, though. I mean, he has killed this entire air army. There's 6 broods left. Shin does have some money in the bank. So now what does Classic build? He starts up 5 carriers.
Yeah, there's too many Corruptors, though, mate. Like, when I say the Loco maneuver, this literally is, Rainer even does that sometimes. He's done it.
It's the Loco
that's what
maneuver.
he calls it. Yeah, Loco's been known to do that. Other than using the Corruptors, you're getting the Protoss to storm their own army to help you out.
Yeah, and it was very successful. And Classic, I mean, this feels like what we were talking about, right? He's not able to spend his money on a ground army because he doesn't have the gateways for it. Kind of forces him to use these Stargates to build units. He is going to have a powerful carrier army soon, but there's 17 Corruptors out still.
The only thing that, it's too many Corruptors. I was going to say the only thing that could happen is a huge overinvestment into Brood Lords, but
yeah, I think maybe
Shin's
he was
gonna be too
hoping
wise.
Shin would make like 10 more broods, and then this game would be very tough for him. At this point, Classic is just going to spend his bank on as many air units as he can get, and hope that he can overwhelm the Corruptors. But he's losing all of his bases in the meantime, right? Like, he doesn't have almost any mining left. He's got 1 mining base right now, and it's running low.
Well, Shin has like next to no economy. He only has 42 drones. He can go take the hatch all he wants. The downside is, again, we basically foresaw the future. Classic didn't build those gates. I like that he's going into Void Rays, and this was a bit of a blunder I was going to say is, honestly, at this point, he should have just tripled down on Void Rays. He went into Flux Veins, and Void Rays aren't that great, but with all the air upgrades he's got, with Stalkers, with Storms, if he takes care of all the Corruptors, that army is basically useless, and there's not a lot of money for Zerg.
Yeah, the Void Rays just aren't that robust, though. You know, like you can kill the Corruptors,
it's with
but
the Stalkers, the Storms, and the Void Rays.
If Shin's able to
what
get
I'm
out
saying.
like a handful of Hydras, those Void Rays just perish. But
Well,
now,
that's what I'm saying
that
in
Classic
this case.
has been able to get these carriers out, I was worried Shin was just going to go for the throat. Classic's got 10 carriers. That wins this fight now. Like this is no longer Shin having the air superiority. Classic has a much better army.
Oh, coming right on in.
Yeah, I think he just banked enough chronos that he was using it the whole time for a while, but no production for that long. He could just chrono 5 Stargate carrier.
Yeah, this is a very scary push now onto Shin's most important base. Stalkers are getting caught here a little bit by the Lings. Cloaking Field going to keep this Protoss army alive, though. Neuro, thank you so much for the raid, my dude.
Neuro.
Appreciate it. Hope you had a lovely stream. Shin's trying to take one here for the Zergs.
Oh man, Chickenman.
So Chickenman, did you know? I know this is time, and Jason's been basically all Stormgate. Did you know that Neuro actually beat Jason in a show match I put on?
Oh, you know, I saw you were putting on the show match, but I did not see the result.
Dude, yeah, that was everybody's like, oh, you know, Jay's the favorite player. I'm like, you know what? I got faith in my boy Neuro. Maybe he can do, and I love Jason.
That's pretty sick.
Guess what? He did it.
That's very impressive. Jason is a really good player.
Yeah, that made it all like they were sick games too. He played really well.
these Corruptors are looking for an angle in here. No Vipers, though, for Shin right now, which is kind of a problem. He does have a nice little ground army, so I feel like he can get in on top of these High Templar pretty easily during a fight. But again,
now,
Classic's air army is just better right now. All right, Corruptor's coming in. There's the Lings and Banes. Shin just taps out before the fight happens.
He knew that wasn't happening.
F2A, and then he sees the army in its entirety, and he's like, never mind. GG. I'm out. Let's go to game 3.
To that point, Chickenman, when we were in that spot and we're talking about it, and you're like, yeah, I'd favor the Protoss and I'd favor Classic. Shin just doesn't seem to be much of a late game player. You know, let's be honest. Every player has their strengths and weaknesses, but Shin definitely, like, he didn't have any Vipers early. I think if he had Vipers earlier on, maybe he didn't feel confident in his Viper control against Classic.
He had Vipers for a little while, and honestly, they were doing a great job. And I didn't even notice, point, like, after they seemed like they went down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And with no gas, like, getting out Vipers feels so painful. So I think that's why he ended up not going for any more Vipers. Yeah, I don't know. If that's dark there, I'm like, I kind of favor dark in that situation. But Shin clearly struggling a little bit against that Classic late game army. Ragnarok, thank you so much for the 41-month resubscription as well.
Yeah, don't mind me, Chicken. I apologize for talking over.
And actually, the existence of a crisp high 5 implies the existence of a soggy low 5, if you think about it.
All right. Damn, you're right.
Chickenman.
I know I'm right. Oh my god, and a fresh hot tier 1 sub from 8 again dub.
Yeti, a big fan of the soggy low 5s?
I don't think I've ever had a soggy low 5. I bet Yeti would give a very good soggy low 5 though, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Game number 3. We're all tied up. We're on Oceanborn, spawning in the lower right-hand corner. We've got Shin, a red Zerg player.
And his opponent in the upper left in the blue from Twisted Minds. Give it up for the chin toss, Mr. Classic, with a Giga Chad chin. And a Giga Chad comeback. That was looking scary for him, Chickenman, as you said.
I mean, I thought he was dead. I for sure thought he was dead. And yeah, Shin just not able to close it out. Not able to fully stop the air army from happening. And I think that was the real problem, right? He killed all the Tempests, but he lost all his Corruptors. Classic was like, what if I just keep building air units? And it turned out that was pretty good.
So other than the Forge, the thing that at the end of it, if you remember how that fight, the initial fight at that natural happened, I think it was the units that were left for Classic too. He didn't lose a base, he didn't lose probes, but he also didn't lose the High Templar. He was left with a handful of High Templar, and I forgot, like, just a bunch of random stuff. So, like, those were, like, the best case units for him to have, I guess.
Yeah.
What I mean is for, like, what would the immediate follow-up be? Like, Shin would have to just go Zerglings, and he'd be like, well, guess what? I got Storms, buddy.
Turns out Storm is pretty good against Zerglings. Yeah, I'm shocked that Shin let Classic get away with spending his whole bank on all of those carriers.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bit of a fumble there for sure.
I think in a world where Shin gets more aggressive, right, and pushes into the production, if those carriers are popping and there's Corruptors nearby, I think it becomes a much harder game for Classic to hang around in.
You gotta highlight your message from Random Hyper 1. Okay, what about the smoking over Maplewood high and fast? I don't know the reference myself. You're right, Hyper 1.
Yeah, I got nothing. Is that sounds like a cooking reference? I feel like are we just making like a nice steak or something? We're just smoking a nice steak over Maplewood? Because, like, I'm down. I'm in for that.
Yeah,
am I invited?
I would be way into that. True. Oh. You reminded me of food earlier. I'm still like, I took a break to have something, but work fed me well today.
Did it?
That's all I'm gonna say. Oh yeah, barbecue, baby.
That's wonderful. I wish they gave us food at work. The only thing we get is like a bunch of crappy food that's about to expire. That's about the best we get at work.
Well, look at that. We have Yeti offering to cook a steak here. And I actually would know for a fact Yeti's a hell of a... It's on my bucket list. I got to have a Yeti steak.
I don't know. I'm on the fence. Yeti steaks are either going to be the best thing in the world or it's going to be this like greasy slab of meat. I'm not sure. You got to prove it to me, Yeti.
Oh, man. So here we go. Oracles. We got the Adept going back. I love the Adept going back, and it's not like super... It's not an insane amount of lings like previously.
Yeah. Obviously, without the weird start to that game, we're in a bit of a different position here. But yeah, Classic playing defensive. Maybe a little bit worried about losing that third again. Doesn't want to undercommit to the defense, so keeps both of those Adepts back at home. And it looks like he's going to be allowed to take a normally timed third. So we just have a bit of a macro game on our hands.
Yeah, I will say, speaking of defense, Shane with some really good Oracle defense there. He basically almost killed that Oracle, but that was a nice save at the last second in Classic. So he is going to have to be careful. So Shin is on his defense game. Let's see if I jinx him with the caster. No, he's got it.
Seems pretty good so far.
Absolutely. I bet you we're going to see +1 melee again. Seems to be the flavor. It's kind of a Shin stylistic thing, a little bit like we've seen Solar play a lot like that too, obviously. But
yeah, and I mean, you're dead on. There's the +1 melee. He saw that it's likely going to be Blink and +1 here for Classic. All pretty standard across the board. I do think like we were talking about Shin maybe struggling a little bit in the late game. He's such a strong mid-game player that I would love to see him focus a little bit more on that.
Ooh, forces a cancel.
Yeah, that's just nice.
If you can't get any other damage, I'd say it's acceptable to do that, because, like, I've always been told, no, Dave, like, anytime I'd had coaching sessions or whatever, you know, it's not worth it. Say even you take 3 Oracles and you're going and you get a kill even on a 4th for whatever reason, or you had a Void Ray and Oracles. It's really not as consequential as keeping the Oracle energy, or putting the Oracle energy to better use, but I guess he couldn't find any worker damage, so it's better than nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different at higher levels too, right? Like for Classic.
Well, yeah, like they literally meant, like they told me as they would do it basically, because I was kind of asking about it. They're like, yeah, it's not really you know, it's kind of like a worst case scenario, and that was kind of the worst case scenario, you know?
Yeah. But still a nice little grab there, and the Lings try to get in here, but Classic defends it. Oh, putting up a cannon even. That feels like a lot of investment at this stage of the game.
And you were right about this. Hyper One was referring to a guy that does shorts, using everything over Applewood on low and slow.
Oh,
sounds
I'd love
good
to see it. It sounds amazing. Stalkers get a bit surrounded here. They do not have Blink yet. These Oracles are doing their best, but this is just going to be a bunch of dead Stalkers. Great catch from Shin, and this is the hubris of a high-level Protoss player, is moving out with all your Stalkers before Blink is done, and just losing every single one. That is incredibly painful. And now Shin's chilling, man. Like, what are you going to do with 8 Stalkers? That is the least scary thing.
Yeah,
15 Stalkers is terrifying, but when you lose 9 of them, suddenly not so scary anymore.
Yeah, you're basically hedging on the Oracles, and they don't have a lot of energy left. It's all lit +1 Lings going into +2. I mean, Classic does have +1 himself, but still, it's not ideal. And here come the Hydras, Chickenman.
Yeah, and the Hydras are they're a much more robust unit against the Stalkers. The Stalkers can still trade well against them, but if Shin just holds some high grounds here, has some Lings out front to buffer, I mean, I think he's going to be in a great spot.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the supply, too, at that. On beautiful Blink Micro, but at the end of the day, pretty sizable Zerg army right here.
Yeah, and with Bane speed nearly done, those Hydra upgrades coming online, Shin is poised for a really nice Ling-Bane Hydra army.
Yeah, he's just doing nothing but hammering that production key, nothing but Lings and Hydras. He sure as heck get those Banelings pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, he's on 76 drones. I think for this kind of mid-game army, you really don't need much more than that. The economies are going to be relatively even. I believe we did see Storm being researched here, so that's going to be huge for Classic. If he can nail some storms, Shin's gotta watch out for that.
That downside is without the Oracle energy, the other thing you really need in my eyes is stasis boards. He doesn't have a lot down.
That's a very good
actually,
point.
This is looking okay so far.
I mean, this is like
man.
half the army that Shin's over here with. He's got the whole other group. Baneling's gonna try to run forward. There's the stasis ward though. But there's more Banelings. And now the Ling's going to come in as well, flooding into the natural in the main. While the Lings and Hydras over here kind of keep the army busy. To see if Shin can get some actual damage done. Probes in the main base these are looking a bit of a struggle. Oh my god, this Artosis pylon down here. Powering 5 gateways and both Stargates. It looks like it'll stay alive. 20 probes going down though. I mean, this is huge damage. And that was the army moves over there. Shin's gonna come in over here, and Classic is just
have to recall.
Caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, it is absolutely a debilitating position as he loses 25 and counting probes.
We haven't seen any big storms yet. Finally, a couple go down, but it's just on a few Banelings. There's a juicy one. Oh my god, a few Banelings gonna get through. And most of the High Templar are gone. There's just 2 left. The base goes down. 33 probes have died. Classic is now fully on the back foot. He's down 60 supply, and Shin is not going to let up at all. He's going to keep pushing forward. There's only a couple of storms left. The Banelings rolling in, the Hydras taking down the probes, taking down the static defense. These are slow Zealots. Charge only just started. Yeesh. Oh, man, and I think this is just about it. It looks like Shin's going to push for the win here.
I'll be honest. Yeah, you can hold it. It shouldn't seem too bad, but that push out that Classic did earlier was not the call. He should have been a little more patient. He could have went back, and the biggest thing was losing all that Oracle energy. GG's called. Shin's gonna take it.
Yeah, GG. No, I think you're dead on. Like losing all those stalkers, not having the Oracle energy, the stasis traps, like you said, is a huge part of the defense against that kind of army, and it just wasn't there. And Classic ends up falling flat against the mid-game army of Shin.